Chapter 16 of the Dao De Jing. The Dao, pronounced Dao as in now, turns on a single question: what does everything do when it stops? Not when it fails. When it completes, when the movement runs its course. This passage describes something the text treats as a natural rhythm, as reliable as tides, and a warning about what happens when you cannot see it. Jai zu jai shu jing du, wan wu bing zuo wu yi guān fu, fu wu yun yun. Ji fu gi kai zhen, ti zhen yu jing shi wai fu ming yu chong, zhai chong yu ming, bu zhai chong, wang zu uxian, zhai chong róng, wang nai gōng, gōng nai wàng, wang nai tiān, tan nai dao, dao nai ju, mo shen bu de. Reach complete emptiness. Hold to stillness with your whole strength. 10,000 things arise together. I watch them return. All the teeming things, each one goes back to its root. Going back to the root is called stillness. This is called returning to one's nature. Returning to one's nature is called the constant. Knowing the constant is called clarity. Not knowing the constant, one acts blindly, and blindness brings ruin. Knowing the constant, one becomes receptive. Receptive, one becomes impartial. Impartial, one becomes kingly. Kingly, one becomes as the sky. As the sky, one becomes the Tao. The Tao endures. To the end of one's life, there is no danger. The chapter opens with an instruction that sounds like meditation, but is actually an epistemological posture. Empty yourself completely, and hold steady. The text is not describing a breathing technique. It is describing a precondition for seeing clearly. From that stillness, the sage watches. 10,000 things arise together. The Chinese letter, wan wu, means everything, the whole proliferation of existence. And the observation is, everything that arises also returns, not some things, not the things that fail, everything. The word for root here, Chinese letter, jian, is the same word used for the root of a plant, not origin in some abstract sense, the actual base, the thing the stem grows from. Every leaf, every flower, every branching thing eventually comes back there. Going back to the root is called Chinese letter, jìng, stillness, not death, not defeat. The text is precise. Returning to the root is called returning to one's nature, Chinese letter, fu ming. It is a homecoming, not an ending. Then a pivot that carries the weight of the whole chapter. This returning, this pattern, is called Chinese letter cháng, the constant, the invariant, and knowing it is called Chinese letter míng, clarity, brightness, illumination. Not knowing the constant has a name too, Chinese letter wáng zuo, acting blindly, presumptuously, out of delusion. The text says this leads to Chinese letter jìng, ruin. This is not moral condemnation. It is more like a structural warning. If you do not see that things return, you will act as if they do not. You will overextend. You will grip what is in the process of releasing. You will push when the movement has already completed. Disaster follows not because you are bad, but because you are wrong about how things work. The second half of the chapter is a chain, one quality generating the next. Knowing the constant makes one Chinese letter, wrong. Receptive, able to hold contradictions without forcing them. From receptivity comes Chinese letter, gōng, impartiality, the ability to weigh without favoring. From impartiality comes something the text calls kingly, not political kingship, but the kind of steadiness that can preside over things without distorting them. From that comes correspondence with heaven, Chinese letter, tiān, the sky, what contains everything without preference. And from that, correspondence with the Tao itself. The chain ends simply. The Tao endures, and following it, you are not in danger. This is not a promise of safety in the ordinary sense. The text does not say you will be comfortable or protected. It says Chinese letter, to the end of one's body, no danger. The danger being avoided is the specific danger of being out of alignment with how things actually move. You can exhaust yourself fighting the returning tide, or you can know that it returns. What is striking about this chapter is its diagnosis of a very ordinary mistake. You see it in organizations that cannot wind down a failing effort because they have invested too much and the thing has not returned to its root in their accounting. You see it in people who keep reopening conversations that have already closed. You see it in any institution that mistakes its own continuation for the thing it was built to serve. The text does not offer a cure. What it offers is a description of the cost. Blindness brings ruin, and a description of the alternative. Receptivity, impartiality, endurance. The word Chinese letter, wrong, means to hold, to contain, to tolerate. A person who knows that everything returns can hold more. They are not threatened by things completing because they understand completion as part of the motion, not the end of it. This is not passive. The chapter opens with an active instruction, attain complete emptiness, hold to stillness. These are verbs. The stillness is something you work toward. Everything that arises goes back to its root. The question this chapter leaves is whether you can see that clearly enough to move with it, or whether you will be found still pushing when the thing has already turned. The next chapter is 17.